Hello, America. This is Call of Duty Goddess. Today is April 16th, 2016. I have an interview here with Pete Santilli from today. This is off the show Walk the Talk with Michelle Fiore and Brian Wilson. So let's listen to this. We'll listen to Pete for a little bit and then I'll leave a link and you can go over to this YouTube channel and listen to the rest of it.
Pete Santilli. Okay, so
Welcome.
now all of a sudden, Walk the Talk is going to turn into the Pete Santilli Show. Pete, you are live. This is Pete Santilli. He has his own radio show. This is Shock Jock. Pete Santilli from the Henderson Detention Center. Pete, go ahead.
You know, a shock jock extraordinaire. You know, also at the same time, in all fairness to the listeners, your listeners that may not have ever heard of my name, I cover some very controversial topics on our show. 9/11 cover-up stuff, Benghazi.
Where could they see your show, Pete?
You can go to the PeteSantilliShow.com, and then also, you know, we've got a lot of our archives on YouTube. You can go back and listen to again, the very controversial topics, like going after the FBI cover-ups, you know, JFK assassination stuff, TWA Flight 800, which they don't like that, so that's why I'm in jail right now.
Yes, you are in jail.
You know, but like land issues, for instance, they don't like when I cover, you know, issues like that. The U.S. Constitution exposing that, they just hate that. So here I am sitting in jail.
Well, you know, the nice thing is we're going to keep finding ways to make sure. And I mean, you know, with all the people and all the supporters you have, Pete, you know, you might be behind jail, but they haven't shut you up yet, and I don't think they're going to.
And we're just literally giving all of our listeners an education on jury nullification. I have to tell you that. And in New Hampshire, they just passed HB 1270 to where now it's law that the jurors have to be notified what jury nullification is, and they can actually practice it.
That is awesome. There's a lot of things that need to happen. Education is really important. I appreciate, you know, everything that you're doing, Michelle, you know, day and night, of course, and your co-host by putting that out there. Jury nullification, a lot of people don't know about it. And, you know, I've also been talking about, you know, as you and I have been talking the past couple of days, the mainstream media, of course, has not been painting the picture of all of my fellow, you know, they call us co-defendants, but they're my fellow patriots.
That's right.
These people are literally the heroes that books and movies are made of. These are God-loving, you know, God-fearing individuals that want to enforce our U.S. constitutional law. So everyone needs to be educated on that as well, and I appreciate your efforts in doing that.
You know, Pete, you're sitting there in jail over this entire Oregon thing, and you were there as independent media covering to make sure things stayed above board, to make sure the feds kept in check and somebody was actually watching them. How have they twisted this against you and used this as a way to just try and silence you now for all of the stuff that you've done and all the good you've done, you know, getting truth out there about them, and they've seen this as an opportunistic time to just try and shut you down and shut you up? How are they doing this?
Well, you know, as we all know, the establishment controls the establishment media. The establishment does not control the independent media, like my media. And my media also holds the mainstream media accountable. So what they have done is they've so tried to demonize people like myself in the independent media. To tell the truth, and I'm also an activist, and they've actually referred to me as a self-styled journalist. Well, because, you know, the establishment doesn't accept that, they've weaponized the U.S. judicial system to come after me. They've literally said, you know, well, he's an activist and a reporter, and he was out there expressing his opinion, and therefore everyone else agreed with it and maybe showed up at Bundy Ranch, or he was calling them to show up in Portland. Well, that's a big, big no-no. That's called conspiracy to do the right thing here in the United States of America, and you shall be incarcerated.
And then you know what else is really crazy? You guys are listening to the Pete Santilli from the Pete Santilli Show, live from jail, by the way. They literally, and I want to make sure people understand, they have a 63-page indictment. They are throwing everything at the wall, hoping one thing sticks. So understand, they literally have Pete, conspiracy to have a firearm. The guy never had a firearm in Bunkerville. Never had a firearm.
Well, I mean, here's the most disgusting part about it, okay? Pete was the most visible person up there from the media, that was willing to put himself out there, spent day and night there for weeks on end, making sure everything was exposed. You didn't see, Fox, you didn't see the mainstream guys. They'd show up, get a little soundbite, and go away. And what the feds don't like about what Pete was doing up there is he was keeping them honest. I have to say, the horrible tragedy of Finicum, if not for Pete and his never-ending coverage while he was there on top of them, exposing what they were doing, it could have been a whole lot worse, and it would have been a whole lot worse much sooner for a lot more of the ranchers up there. Without Pete to keep them honest, they would have moved in and killed a whole lot more than just Lavoie.
Without a doubt.
Thank you for me, Pete, for that. It's, your work kept a lot of people alive.
Yeah, and the one thing that they've really come after me for is the quote-unquote the rally cries in Portland, the rally cries for the Bundy Ranch incident. Well, those rally cries were literally to prevent the loss of life, to prevent the loss of property, of liberty, of all that stuff, just defensively protecting our stuff. And that's the God's honest truth. I think that's where the truth will come out through both of these cases in Portland and in Nevada, is that we were a deterrent to where they just couldn't come in and point weapons of war at us and shoot us. Many more people would have died.
Do you know what happened 2 days ago, Pete? I have to tell you, in Bunkerville, Eric Parker had come to Bunkerville when he heard on the radio our commissioner, Tom Collins, basically say, if you come here, come with a body bag because you're going to be killed. And so he came here, and there were 3 women on the bridge, which was Beth Shell Austin, Mary Parker, and another woman, and they were on the bridge, and they were taking photos, and someone had took a photo of them taking photos, and Eric Parker's research team was trying to get in touch with these women to see what other kind of photos they had, because everyone thought they had photos of the contractors and the FBI and the BLM pointing guns at American folks. So I will tell you what they did. In North Carolina, these women, Beth Shell Austin and Marie Parker, live in somewhere around Raleigh, North Carolina. The U.S. Marshals basically went to her sheriff, told her they wanted her to come in from questioning. They went to Beth Shell's house. Her husband just got back from Afghanistan, served in our military honorably for over 20 years, just got back from Afghanistan. The U.S. Marshals come into her house in North Carolina. They handcuff her in front of her 2 adoptive 9-year-old daughters. Now, understand, she adopted these kids. These kids went through the system and saw their mom shoot themselves in the face, okay? She adopted them. They're her children. The U.S. Marshals took her in while her husband was trying to console the children, hold them, 2 days ago. Hold them. U.S. Marshal takes a gun, points it at the husband's face in their house 2 days ago in front of these 2 9-year-old kids, takes Beth Shell in handcuffs out to the car, says to the husband, don't move her, I'm going to shoot you in the face. Literally, this U.S. scumbag marshal said this to her husband in front of the kids. I'm so disgusted, Pete, at this behavior. This is not America, and elected officials have to rise, have to demilitarize these people or train them in, decent common courtesy. You're going to point a gun at a man who served your country honorably for over 20 years. I guarantee you this U.S. Marshal that was in North Carolina that did this to this man and this family never served his country, because that's not how we act.
That also reminds me of when Bundy Ranch was escalating, the 9th, 10th, 11th, and Daniel P. Love on the 11th said, well, you better have more people than you got right now, as if he was ready to slaughter us all.
Yeah, well, you got that on recording, too.
Yeah, got it on recording. He said, you better have more people. Well, I literally, after that meeting, I said, oh, my goodness, I said a prayer. I said, please, God, send us more people, unarmed. We were going to have men and women go to the gate and ask for the cattle back and free up the land.
Well, I want you,
have more people.
So let me tell you what these feds are doing. So basically, they take Beth Shell Austin, they take this other patriot woman that just came down to find out and protest what was happening in Bunkerville, Marie Parker. They scared Marie Parker in North Carolina so bad she shut her Facebook down. They literally took this woman, arrested her, and then released her. Like, there was no charges. There's no charges on these women. They literally came to Bunkerville to protest, had a camera, not a gun, took some photos, and the U.S. Marshals basically were afraid that maybe she had photos of them pointing guns at the American people. So, because we're changing the narrative here, folks. My new goal is organizing America and shutting these prisons down that have men in there that should not be in there. I mean, we have bad guys, great, keep them in prison, but we have guys that are incarcerated that do not need to be there.
Oh, absolutely. I'm actually meeting them, that's another part of the story that will be told when I eventually get out. Is the people I'm meeting? So many of them
Pete,
here behind bars in Portland, and oh, go ahead.
I'm looking at my notes. You need to share with the listeners while we got you on phone about this public defender that was horrible. What he did to you. His name is Josh Tomshak, Tomscheck. Basically, he got assigned to you and he left you in solitary, left you in the hole, lied to you. We checked him out on Pacer. You got to get that out. What happened there?
You know, he's actually in a rotation. I guess in the federal system, it's not just public defenders. They have a rotation of even private attorneys. Supposedly, he's done some, pretty good marketing here in the Las Vegas area, and I guess he takes high volumes of these cases, from murder cases to, he's an ambulance chasing, personal injury attorney. Well, this guy ends up in the rotation to pick up my case. But Michelle, here's what's happened with this guy, and I had to fire him as a result. I've lost 3 weeks of my life because this guy didn't even bother to come and see me immediately after he was assigned to my case. He did absolutely nothing on the case at all, and I don't know what he was intending to do, but the 2 times he came to visit me is because I threatened to fire him. Finally, I had to, because ultimately this guy lacks the integrity to be on a case like this. As you know, all the patriots that we're associated with are honorable, honest men.
Yeah, most all of you guys don't even have a speeding ticket, and half of you served our military honorably discharged.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And somebody like that essentially he lied on 3 separate occasions to not just me, but my attorney up in Portland, who's one of the best attorneys that I could ever ask for, Tom Cohen. But he lied on 3 separate lying. This is to his client, telling me that he had filed some motions, and when in fact he had.
And we verified that with Pacer, right? So understand this attorney is sitting there talking to you, telling you filed motions. You have your partner, Deb Jordan, check on Pacer to then find out he didn't file these motions, and then you question him on it, and he admits that, yeah, he lied to you.
Well, he did 3 things. He didn't open up the case files that Tom Cohen had prepared for him for over 2 weeks. He lied about filing the motion, and then he.
You have 1 minute left.
Michelle, I could call back in. Can I call back in?
Yeah, absolutely. But keep talking for your 1 minute. This is the jail system, folks.
Yeah, as we get disconnected here. So this guy on 3 separate occasions lied. Here's the conspiratorial side of me. You ready? I mean, I have to say it.
Yeah.
One of 2 things has happened. Either this guy is just so busy that he can't attend to my case, or secondly, I have to think about this. Could anybody do this intentionally to cause me to be in jail for 3 more weeks?
Oh, without a
Because I'm
doubt.
looking for a release hearing.
They can assign you. They can definitely assign you bad attorneys that they know, that don't care, that don't do a good job, that just accept cases for a paycheck. Absolutely, they could do that.
Yeah,
Well,
Pete, when they cut you off.
Believe it or not, you know what? When we got into court, this is an interesting bit you may not know about. He was awfully chummy with Mr. Myrie when he got into court. Shook hands with him and gave him a little wink and a nod.
Okay, so I'll leave the link below in the description box. I'm also going to leave the link below in the comments section just in case it doesn't work. Sometimes that happens to me. And you can listen to the rest of this interview. It's really good. And could you imagine if we could clone this Michelle Fiore to represent us? Oh my goodness, I think we might be able to fix the Republic. Anyway, this is Call of Duty Goddess signing off, and as always, I've got your 6.